So I have to question whether a two-state solution is really a viable option at all, and that a single binational state, however it is arrived at, is the only intelligent, logical solution, because without that, you have simply an unstable, semi-completed state. And bearing in mind that in the West Bank, there has been a change of type of Jews that have been living there. In the 1990s, the political Jews who came there in the name of Zionism left because they weren't satisfied. And they were replaced by radical, psychotic Slavs who came bringing the wrath of whatever God they believed in to Palestine. These Jews, as Shimon Peres says, might cause a civil war if they were asked to leave. Now, given the fact that most hardcore Zionists don't allow Palestine, much less Palestinians, to exist, how could you possibly expect that a two-state solution would be viable over any extended period of time?
Okay. Two comments, one a historical one and one a simple question of logic. Let's start with the historical one. In history, you should be very careful about using the word never. Things which seem impossible, strangely enough, they actually happen. I'm not so old, older than most people in the room, but not all. Relatively within my time, relatively speaking, the main, if not the main problem among African Americans in the United States was lynchings. After World War II, African Americans come back from fighting, and like after World War I, when they come back from fighting, they're seen to be too uppity. And so in 1947, 48, there are large numbers of lynchings in the American South. Very ugly scenes. Many people don't know what a lynching looked like in the United States. It was not some isolated tree in the dark of the night. Lynchings in the United States were big picnic events for the local town. Schools would be let out early, workers were let out early, mothers packed picnic baskets. They all went to the lynching site. After it was over, began the auctioning of body parts. Somebody wants the heart, the liver. They would pose with the body part. It would then be used as a postcard. That's what My Country, 'Tis of Thee looked like. Paul Robeson, some of you may know, probably few, his main struggle was trying to get President Truman in 1948 to pass an anti-lynching bill. He refused Truman for fear of losing the support of the South, which was mostly Democratic at the time, the Dixiecrats, they were called. The other day, my brother gave me this CD of an old TV program which I liked to watch. It was called Ironsides with Raymond Burr. Ironside, who knows it? Ironside. Oh, not bad. Raise your hand up high. Okay. Ironside comes out in the mid-1960s. The turbulent 1960s, the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, and it was considered a little bit cutting edge, a progressive program. Ironside has 3 assistants: a woman, a blonde bombshell, a fellow, he looked like straight out of one of Hitler's Superman camps, and lo and behold, an African American. The woman, the white woman, and the white fellow, they would strategize with Raymond Burr Ironsides, I should say he's a detective, a police officer, they would strategize with him, but of course Raymond Burr was the smart one. They were just learning. The black fellow, what does he get to do? He gets to, Raymond Burr is paralyzed. That's why it's called Ironsides. He was shot in the spine. He's paralyzed. What does the black fellow get to do? He gets to wheel around Raymond Burr. That's right. That's his job. He gets to wheel him around. Remember, this was a progressive program. And when they're strategizing, he's in the back room playing pool. His only other job is, when Raymond Burr gets up in the middle of the night, he blows his whistle, and the black fellow has to come running out in his bathrobe. Okay? That's a progressive film in the 60s. TV show, it was a series. I start watching it because I like murder mysteries. I'm watching, I'm thinking to myself, well, good gosh, we've gone quite a distance. The guy who's wheeling around Raymond Burr and running at his beck and call, he's now in the White House. So, never say never. We're talking about within the span of my life, how dramatically the American scene changed. Same thing, Europe. I mean, history of Europe for 300 years was just wars. Now, a war between France and Germany. Is it even thinkable? Is it even conceivable? But there was a time when if you talked about peace between France and Germany, people would say, never, impossible. So we should always be cautious about that. The second point is, there's obviously a non sequitur in your argument. It makes logically it makes no sense. If you say that you can't imagine them living apart but together, then how could you then conclude it's more likely they'll be able to live together in peace? It's as if to say a husband and wife who want to kill each other, there is less possibility of them living in separate dwellings than living under one roof. Does that make any logical sense? It's a complete non sequitur. The problem is, and if I'm offending anyone, I don't intend to. I want to end the conflict. A lot of people are bored with the two-state settlement. It's been 30 years. They're tired. They want something novel, something original, something creative. They conjure up all of these formulas. It's a kind of Starbucks chatter because it's so difficult. People don't understand, I think. It's so difficult to change international opinion. It's such a huge victory that the Palestinians can now claim the International Court of Justice as supporting their aims. They can claim the entire international community as supporting their claims. They now have their Balfour Declaration. They now have their partition resolution. They now have their certificates of legitimacy. And when they've had all these great victories, suddenly people come along and say, it's all passé. Let's move on to something else. It's not serious.